Hey everyone, Daniel here, and I've decided that it is time to get into the card review game. I think I'm a little bit late to the game with girl power, so I'm not going to really worry about that at the moment, but we do have the Godzilla and King Ghidorah challenge decks, which have been previewed in their entirety, available for us to look at. And even though we are at this point over a month away, I want to go ahead and go over these cards because we have a upcoming online tournament being run by Let's Talk UVS. And I'm going to be participating in that with a King Ghidorah deck. So, I'm going to give you all the deck list, but before we do this, I want to go ahead and discuss the cards. We're going to go ahead and look at all of the cards one type at a time for these two challenger decks. We got 44 cards to go through, so let's dive into this. First off, we have Godzilla, King of the Monsters. So, Godzilla is a 6 hand size, 34 health character, so he's a chunky boy. With Giant and Monster, your attacks with printed difficulty 5 or greater get +3 damage, and he's got 2 enhances. First, you can spend a momentum. Your next check to play an attack or block gets +2. And then first form, once per game, you commit him, you discard 4 cards from your hand, and you destroy all foundations in play. Only playable if there are 10 or more foundations in all stages combined. So, with a board wipe on face, he's going to be someone interesting to play against and with. If you end up in a state where you're able to take advantage of the board wipe, or if you get into a deadlock situation and you need to break through the wall, destroy everything, shove everything back into everyone's discard pile, and begin again. If you've been able to generate momentum, then you'll be able to, on your next turn, or even on that turn, if you can straighten him somehow, but usually on your next turn, use it to go on a killing spree. And certain other cards on some symbols, like on Earth, can aid in recovering from the board wipe. I think he's going to be better than people expect. The fact that everything that is 5 difficulty gets just a printed 5 difficulty gets a base 3 damage, I think is actually going to be pretty good. I don't think you need to run him with a mono 5 difficulty deck, but it is it is his once per game, which is going to really signify the quality of the character. Next up, we have Mechagodzilla Kiryu. The Kiryu is the Mechagodzilla that in the, let's see if I can remember my Godzilla lore, in the Millennium run of movies, I think it's Godzilla against Mechagodzilla. They took the skeleton of the 1954 Godzilla and they developed him into a robot for defense of the world, Kiryu. And he has some firepower. So he has a 5 hand size with the same 34 health, giant monster. You can discard a card from your hand as though you're spending a momentum each time you pay the cost of an EX or powerful ability. And then in response, after you play a card with a printed difficulty of 5 or greater, draw a card. So, he is not a 5 hand size. He is a 6 hand size character typically, or 7 hand size. The fact that this is printed and the fact that it is just when the card's played, not when the attack is played, means you can play foundations that are 5 or greater printed difficulty and get the card draw off of it. Also, because this is on EX or powerful, if you have a card that has both, so since he has Earth, for instance, Armor of the Wolf, you can discard 2 cards from your hand, and Armor of the Wolf, for instance, is an 8 mid for 8. I think that Kiryu is going to output a lot of power, and I think it's going to be a really strong character. Next, we have Mothra, Giant Moth Monster. An 8 hand size character with 21 health. So at the start of your end phase, you discard a card. So it is a real 8-hander but if you don't keep enough cards, you're not going to have as much defensive. Your enhance is to commit. This attack gets plus X or minus X speed. Well, this is its printed difficulty. And you can tenacious enhance, spend 2 momentum, and ready the card. So if you have attacks that generate momentum and they hit, that will be 2 momentum to ready Mothra. If you have really large attacks, for instance, looking at Earth, Looming Terror. Looming Terror being a 14 mid attack for 7, that sort of thing is really, really good. And some of her cards really lead into her effect. I think she's going to be quite good, especially being an 8-hander. My favorite of the bunch, personally, King Ghidorah, the Emperor of the Cosmos. So Ghidorah is a 6-hand size, 10 health character. Now, at the start of the game, you add 3 King Ghidorah counters to the card, so he's got 3 heads. If you would lose the game due to your health being reduced below 1, instead remove 1 King Ghidorah counter from this card, return it to maximum health. Then if there are no King Ghidorah counters on this card, you lose the game. So you have to chop his head off 3 times. So he has practically, usually, he has a minimum of 30 health. And in actuality, it's probably closer to 40 or greater, depending on how you can manipulate things. You attack for 1 attack, and you do 7, leaving him at 3. You attack for another with a 4 diff. He blocks for half, leaving him at 1. Any attack you send is only ever going to do 1 damage, and he's going to reset. So it's really good. His enhance is commit and remove a card from your hand. Choose an attack or foundation in your card pool and remove it. You can try and play it that card this turn. So note that it says this card, so you can play it as a block on defense, or you can play it as an attack on offense, or as a foundation to build. The strength of King Ghidorah, I actually think, truthfully, pardon me, is going to be in the effects that leverage his 10 health. Not only are there multiple cards that look for that, he's going to be spending a good amount of his time in desperation as well. So the more cards we have that have desperation, the stronger that King Ghidorah is going to be. Godzilla, Bionic Mimics, 6 hand size, 29 health. Enhance, remove the top 3 cards of your deck. This attack gets 2/2. Response, commit after you take damage from an attack. Commit a rival foundation. So the response commit is trivial, truthfully. It's going to do a little bit. Maybe you can stave off it, but this is pure aggro. This is based off the original Showa version of Godzilla. The alt art shows that better than this art here. But 2/2 on everything, regardless of anything, is really good. Just from the get-go, from turn 2, just 2/2 on everything. That's only about 1 damage away from what was needed with younger Toguro, for Toguro to really be turn 2ing people. And the fact it's +2 speed means it's going to be a lot harder to deal with. I think Godzilla Bionic Menace is going to be something to be feared. The last of the characters is Rodan, Giant Monster of the Sky. So, 7 hand size, 21 health. Enhanced Tenacious, remove the top card of your discard pile. This attack gets +X or -X speed. X equals the printed block modifier of the removed card. Enhance, commit, look at the top 2 cards of your deck. Put them back in any order. If you have 4 or more attacks in your remove pile, look at the top 4 instead. So, look at the top 4, stack your deck, and you'll know what's coming. Either for checking, or for discarding for values, or for drawing. You'll just know. It's a strong ability. And the fact that it's not limited to your turn means you can save it for defense. Which I think is probably what you're figuring going to see, is this ability will be saved for the defensive side, and when it's time to go in, then you'll use it on the offensive side with quite a bit of speed. I think Rodan's actually going to be better. It's actually going to be pretty decent. So of all the characters, truthfully, I'm a biggest fan of Godzilla because I like the board wipe, but my favorite is definitely King Ghidorah. Let's go ahead and take a look at the actions. We have 2 to look at. So first is City Rampage. So in the Godzilla deck, 5 difficulty, 5 check foundation with a +1 mid block, or action rather. While this card's in your card pool, your attacks get +1/+1. Really good. Form, your checks to play attacks with printed difficulty 5 or greater get +2 for the rest of this turn. This is a very, very good card in my mind, and you're going to be seeing this quite a bit on these symbols. It effectively says, if you're playing this as your first one, if you have a bunch of other attacks in hand that can take advantage of it, it basically says that all of your this ignores progressive difficulty, and your 5 difficulty attacks get +/-1 to the difficulty. Making all of your 5s 4s is really good, and giving them +1/+1 at the same time, solid card. My favorite is Combined Firepower. This is King Ghidorah's, as you can see in the artwork, action. 1 diff 5 check with a +3 mid block, so it's not a great mid block, but it doesn't really matter a whole lot. This card does not count towards progressive difficulty. Response while it's in the discard pile. After you remove a card to pay a cost, you can try and play this card during this attack. Note that during this attack also includes blocking. So, what you're probably going to see frequently on Evil and Void is Incubation from Gore Power. Remove a card from your discard pile to give it this attack -1 speed, and you'll respond with Combined Firepower to block it. It's basically saying I'll block with a +2 mid block. It's just good. And then Enhanced Mill 4, this attack gets +1 damage for each non-foundation milled this way. So it's going to, for decks that want to stack the top of your discard pile, for decks that want just more stuff in the discard pile, like King Ghidorah, this is going to be a solid card. You may mill through your deck pretty quickly, but this is going to be a real solid card. And I think you'll probably end up... This is probably basically going to be a 1 diff for +2 damage on average, I'm thinking, is probably what it's going to run across. But still worth it, I think, since it doesn't count towards progressive. Alright, we have 2 assets. Gathering Energy is Godzilla's. It's a 1 diff 5 check with a +1 mid block. Unique. Response, after you take damage, remove the top card of your deck face down. You cannot look at the removed card. Form, remove, look at the face down card removed by face down cards removed by this card. Choose up to 2 of them. Add the chosen cards to your hand and turn the rest face up. So, to the best of my knowledge, the way this is going to work then is the cards that get removed as a result of this, neither side is going to be able to look at. It's private information. And I don't know how good this is going to be, but in certain decks that are planning on getting hit constantly, like I'm looking at you, Muscular on Earth, I think this actually could be pretty decent. Even if you just get a couple extra cards to discard or something, I think it's probably worth running maybe a one of in decks. We'll see how it ends up pairing out. Golden Death is King Ghidorah's. It's a 1 diff 5 check with a +2 mid block. Unique. Enhance on the rival's turn. You remove it. If there are 2 or more attacks in your rival's card pool, they remove a card from their hands. Form. Remove. Name a card type. Then reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. Add all the cards of the name type to your hand and discard the rest. So in defense, your opponent is coming across on their 3rd attack. They have, let's say, 3 more in hand. You know you can block at least 1 more and they probably can't kill you. You go, hey, Golden Death, get rid of 1 of them. If nothing else, they'll have 1 less card to block with, and maybe it'll encourage them to not attack you. On your offensive turn, form, chuck it, name, attack, and see what attacks are on top of the deck. Name foundations, and this is a version of Wild Ball Pussycats. It's not horrible. It's too bad it's unique, but I think both of these really need to be unique for this to not get overwhelming. Let's go ahead and look at the attacks. All right, starting with Godzilla's kit, we have Destructive Slam. This is a 5 diff, 4 mid for 5. Throw. Response after this attack deals 7 or more damage. Your rival destroys 1 foundation. Plus 3 mid block. So, in Godzilla, this is a 4 mid for 7 throw. If you can give it stats... 4 mid for 8, if I can add correctly. If you can give this stats, this is just strong. Even, it's probably going to be best if you can give it at least 3 damage. At least 2 damage so you can threaten the destruction of a foundation. But, yeah, it's a decent card, I think. Electric Moth is going to be everywhere. This is a 4 diff, 3 high for 4 with a plus 2 mid block. Charge ranged. This is on air, earth, and good. Enhance, discard a card, draw 2. If your rival has 10 or more foundations, draw 3 instead. One of the cards that just got banned was a 4 diff card that lets you discard a card to effectively draw 2. It did sort of hamper your opponent, but it was, at its core, discard 1 to draw 2. And this is discard 1 to draw 2 minimum, sometimes discard 1 to draw 3. It also has Giant Enhance, ready your character after this attack resolves. So, ready any of the Godzilla deck characters, ready Mount Ladies, and I'm assuming any of the Titans from Attack on Titan that are in this will get the Giant keyword as well, and we'll probably see some additional MHA characters down the road with Giant like Gigantomachia that will probably be able to benefit from this. So just readying your character. In Mothra, this is a 7 mid for 4, and you'll just ready Mothra afterwards. It's just good. You're going to see this on these symbols everywhere. Flying Zap, 3 diff, 3 high for 2 with a plus 1 low block. Charge and a response after this attack does damage. Add the top card of your deck to your momentum. So this is Mothra's, hey, if you don't block this, I'm going to be able to straighten on my next turn because I'm going to have an extra momentum. It's pretty solid. And do you really want to block a 2 diff? Maybe not. Maybe not. Heat Ray. This is a 6 diff, 7 low for 6 with a 1 high block. Deadlock stun 3, Fury and ranged. Enhance. This attack gets plus 1 damage for every 2 cards in your discard pile with a difficulty of 5 or greater. Response. After this attack deals damage, flip 2 rival foundations. So, on its face, in Godzilla, this is a 7 low for 9. Base. This is really, really good stats. 16 stats for 6 is a really good, with a really good block mod as well. Plus 1 high is really good. If you got a few 5 difficulty cards in 5 difficulty cards in general, not just attacks, but cards in general in your discard pile, this is going to be even better. Even on other characters, I think this is going to be a solid 1 or 2 of. 7 low for 6, potentially 7 low for 7, 8, 9 is just good. Kaiju Crash, 5 difficulties, 6 mid for 5, powerful 3, charge and ranged. It's a plus 2 high block. It's all that it is. This is one of the commons. Yeah, it's a decent speed, decent damage with a powerful. Probably not going to see a whole lot of it in constructed play. Mega Burst, 5 difficulty, 5 mid for 5 with a plus 1 mid block. Stun 0 ranged. After you play this attack, it gets plus 1 to its stun rating for every attack card, well, every attack in your card pool. So it is a minimum of a 5 mid 5 stun 1. If you play this later, stun 2, stun 3, stun 4. If you have characters like Overhaul, that'll be able to play this as like their 4th attack, this being 5 mid 5 stun 5, really good. And you destroy a foundation to give it 2 speed or 2 damage. And if they're stunned out, 5 mid 7. In Godzilla, 5 mid 10. it's just good. Mega Burst, you're going to see quite a bit of Mega Burst, especially with a +1 mid block. Smashing Stomp. 5 difficulty, 4 low, 6 with the 2 low block. EX3 Kick Slam. So this has enhanced. Your next check to play a card gets +1. Response after this attack deals damage, draw a card. So this is pretty solid. This is effectively a 4 diff. If you're playing a string of cards, this is effectively, well, I should say this is making the next card probably like a 4 diff. So this is pretty solid, and you'll probably draw a card 4 low for 9 in Godzilla with a +2 low block. Death from Above is from Rodan, the King Ghidorah deck. We have a 6 difficulty, 6 high for 3 damage with a 4 mid block, so it's got a bad block mod, but Rodan kind of wants bad blocks. It's gonna be finicky to balance that. Enhance, remove 1 attack from your discard pile. This attack gets +6 damage. X equals the removed attack's printed damage. So assume this is going to be a 6 high for 9, 6 high for, if you have an 8 in there, 6 high for 11. If you are removing the top cards, probably, let's say, an average of +2, so it's an 8 high. Let's say it's probably going to be an 8 high for 8 on average. That's not bad for a 6 diff. And if you have 8 or more cards and you're removed from pile, draw 2 cards. It's going to be pretty easy to trigger. I think you're going to see a good amount of this. Falling Crush. This is a 3 diff, 3 low for 3 with 1 low block. It's a slam with enhance, remove a foundation. This attack gets 2 damage. So it is a 3 diff, 3 low for 5. In Mechagodzilla Bionic Menace, this is a 3 diff, 5 low for 7. Yeah, I think you're gonna see quite a bit of this. Focus Gravity Beam, 4 diff, 1 low for 4 with a 1 high block. This is powerful 3, stun 1, and ranged. And enhance, remove 1 card from your hand. You remove this card after it resolves. So this card won't clutter up your card pool. And you're probably not going to be, if you're going to be using this as a poke, you're probably not going to be throwing powerful 3s into it. Maybe 1 if you really want to make sure the opponent blocks. But if they block, they get a card out of the hand and this gets removed. So overall, I think this is actually not too bad. Multiple Bites, 4 diff, 3 mid for 6, +2 mid block. Fury, enhance. If you have removed a card this turn, draw a card. So this is just simply a 1 card draw. For the characters that are going to be running them, you're probably going to be having a card removed very frequently. So this is 3 mid for 6, draw a card. In Bionic Menace, this is a 5 mid for 8, draw a card. Just solid. Or in characters like Woman. Yeah, this is a solid card. Overwhelming Gravity Beam. This is a 5 diff, 1 mid for 5 with a +3 low block. First enhance, if this attack is blocked, it still does half damage, rounded up. Enhance, if you have removed a card this turn, your rival commits a foundation. So this is throw without being a throw, and it's stun 1 without being stun 1. I think this card is actually pretty decent. There are quite a few characters out there, quite a few cards that give you like bonus damage to something that's not a throw. This has that effect, but it's definitely not a throw. So I think you're going to see a decent amount of this card. Swooping Talons. 4 diff, 2 high for 7 with a +3 high block, EX3 and slam. This is a cheap 7 damage attack. That's it. It's simply 7 damage, and it's a 7 damage attack that goes in the deck with Dive Bomb, making that a 10 damage attack. So it's really slow, but to be honest, 7 damage is high damage has a quality all on its own. And then I think the ultra rare for the King Ghidorah deck, and probably one of the best cards in the deck, is Tri-Gravity Beam. 4 diff, 4 mid for 5 with a 1 mid block. Deadlock, stun 3, and ranged. Enhance, destroy a foundation. If you have 2 other cards in your card pool, look at your rival's hand and remove a card from it. Enhance, if at least one of your cards has been removed this turn, this attack gets +2 damage. So, you're going to be coming across, this is going to be a 6 diff, because you're playing it as your 3rd card in most cases. In most cases. You're going to look at their hand. You're going to remove a card and see what the other block mods are. Based off of the other block mods, you're going to commit King Ghidorah. You're going to pitch a card from your hand. You are going to declare an attack that you are going to play that is not going to be able to be blocked by your opponent because they don't have the correct block zones. And if they don't have mids, this is also a 7 damage attack. I think this card is incredible, and I think it's going to be a bane. And to be truthful, I like this artwork a lot more than I do the alternate art myself. I really do. You got to have that screonk to get proper feel from Godzilla. So overall, the attacks, I like the attacks. We've got some really, really good ones in here. I do think the Electric Moth and Tri-Gravity Beam are probably the 2 best out of them, but I think you're still going to be seeing a good amount of some of the others like Heat Ray and Mega Burst. And then finally, let's go through the foundations. Okay, Ferocious Attacker. We have a 1 diff, 5 check +2 mid block. Enhance, flip if your rival's lost health this turn, draw a card. So it's more card draw. It is conditional, so there's probably other better card draw to run, but at the same time, it's also not that bad. If your opponent, if you've got a string of attacks and your opponent hasn't lost health, you probably need to back off playing more attacks and more cards anyway. History's Greatest Monster. I like this card. 3 diff, 5 check +2 mid block. Response, once per turn, Tenacious. After you play a card with a printed difficulty of 5 or greater, ready this card. Deadlock Enhance, commit, your attack gains throw. So, the Deadlock is just solid. It's reusable throw on anything. And just, I've blocked with the 5 diff. I'm going to ready this. I've attacked with a 5 diff. I'm going to ready this. This is a solid card, and I think you're going to see a lot of that. Incomparable Size. 2 diff, 5 check +3 mid block. Enhance, flip, this attack gets +2 or -2 damage. Unless you are running a package that is focused on damage reduction, I don't think you're going to see a whole lot of this one. It's one of the commons in the set. It's got cool artwork, but I don't think it's that powerful. Monster Aggression, though. 1 diff, 5 check with a +2 low block. Enhance, destroy a foundation. Your attack with printed difficulty of 5 or greater gets +1 speed and +1 damage. So this is definitely a really good card. On Chaos, this one card alone turns on Rando's Spirit Gun. This will make Rando's Spirit Gun on Chaos a lot more consistent, just from the symmetrical bonuses. I think this is a solid card you're going to see a good amount of. Moth Monster, 2 diff, 6 check, +2 high block. Enhance, commit. This attack gets +2 speed. If you've taken damage from a rival attack this turn, it gets -3 instead. Yeah, -2 speed or -3. This is a good card. You're probably going to get hit at least once, so if you save this to block the attack that you really, really need to, this is probably, this is probably pretty good. Shobijin. I can't pronounce this word correctly, and my apologies. Even with all the Godzilla I've watched, I can't pronounce this correctly. So 1 diff, 5 check with a 4 mid block. Ally unique response, flip after you play a block. It gains breaker 2. You're going to see a lot of this just for that. Just if you're on these symbols, just throw 1 in the deck. It's probably worth running at least 1 of. Titanic Combat. 2 diff, 5 check, plus 3 low block. Incredible artwork in my mind. Response commit after you take damage from an unblocked attack. Build the top card of your deck face down committed. Enhance on your attack. Commit. This attack gives plus 2 damage and rival commits a foundation. So, on defense, you're getting... They hit you and you build. This is going to be really good for characters like Bowie on Earth or Water, or Overhaul on Earth. Being able to get more face-down cards to fuel the character. And then on attack, just I'm going to get plus 2 damage and stun 1. Yeah, it's. I think this card is really good. I think you're going to see this when it's used. It's going to be seeing a lot of play. Tough Skin, 0 diff card, 5 check with a plus 3 high block with Enhance. Flip, this attack gets minus 1 damage. If you're going for a damage reduction deck, I think this might be worth looking at. If you're not, I think there's probably better 0 diffs to run. Unmatched Power, 3 diff, 5 difficulty with a plus, or 5 check rather, with plus 3 high block. First Enhance remove. This attack gets plus X damage. X equals printed difficulty. This card is, I think, going to be... It's going to be really good. It's good that it's remove and not simply destroy with everything that could pull it out of the discard pile. But there is... So for the attacks that really need it, this basically says remove. This gives this attack plus 5 damage, maybe plus 6 damage. That is solid for a card. You probably wouldn't run one more than a couple of these, but I think it is actually pretty solid. Unstoppable Force. We got a 1 diff with a 4 check with a plus 2 mid block, deflect 2, and enhance commit, return your attack to its printed speed. So if you have something like Heat Ray and they have dropped it from its 7 speed down to 4 speed, down to 1 speed, commit this and it's back to 7 speed. This is pretty good. If you have an attack which is high speed, low damage, run in something that can get flipped, you can then commit this to, and it becomes a low speed, high damage. Commit this and it becomes a high speed, high damage. So I think this is actually pretty good. There's a lot of speed hate in the environment, so I think this is a solid card. Battle for Dominance, King Ghidorah Foundation. This is a 1 difficulty 5 check with a plus 2 low block. Enhance, rival's turn, flip, remove a card from your card pool. If you did, draw a card. So this says on a flip cost, your attacks get plus 1, your checks to block this turn get plus 1 draw card. That's pretty good for a flip. That's pretty good for a flip. It's got decent artwork, and at one difficulty, the price is right. Evasive Maneuvers is a 1 diff 5 check with a plus 2 high block. Enhance, commit. This tank gets minus 2 speed. If it's low, it gets minus 3 speed. It is amusing to me that this benefits blocking low when it's a high block. But I guess if you're running this, this isn't taking up one of the slots for a high block, so I guess it sort of makes sense. Still, minus 2, minus 3 speed on a spam foundation is not bad. Galactic Monster. Okay. So this is a 2 diff, 5 check, plus 3 low block. You may try and play this card as a form from your remove pile. Enhance commit. This tank gets plus 2 damage. If your rival has 10 or more foundations, it gets plus 4. So it's got a good, strong commit ability. And more importantly, you can remove this from your hand. You can remove this from your discard pile. And later in the game, you can still play the foundation. As a form, you can't block with it, but you can definitely play it. By the way, quick side rant here. This is not King Ghidorah. This is Kaiser Ghidorah. like a completely different character in the Godzilla universe, or Godzilla universe is. This is a four-headed Hydra dragon monster thing. Is King Ghidorah? Sorry, four-legged. King Ghidorah has only got two legs. But yeah, this is a completely different character. All right, rant over. Let's go ahead and jump to the next one here. Malicious Evil, 1 diff, 5 check, plus 3 mid block. Enhance flip, choose a rival foundation. Abilities on the chosen card cannot be played for the rest of this enhanced step. This is not too bad. Not too bad in my mind. It's not the best, but sometimes you simply need one foundation not to do a thing, like the one that's going to reduce the damage to 2, or flip your foundation, or remove it. So sometimes you just simply need a foundation not to do a thing, and for that, this is not horrible. Monster Zero. 3 diff, 5 check, with +1 mid block, unique, enhance, remove on your turn. Your rival removes a card from their hand, period. That's it. It's just simply they have one less hand size this turn. If they have 8 or more foundations, this attack is also +3 damage. This card is really good. On the turn when you're going to kill your opponent, they are going to have less cards in hand. And that's going to make some of their decisions really good. If they have 3 cards in their hand, then on your third attack, you play Tri-Gravity Beam, you remove something, you Monster Zero, you remove something else. They now have 1 card in their hand, and they're blocking probably not much more that turn. So I think you're going to see a lot of this card. I think it's a really good card. Quick Arrival. +1, a 1 diff 5 check with a +2 mid block. Enhance. Destroy foundation. This attack gets +1 speed. This is actually not bad. On your kill turn, your committed foundations aren't doing anything anyway. Might as well blow them up for some speed and either get your opponent committed out quicker or get that damage through. I think this is actually pretty solid. Relentless Challenger. So this is a 2 diff 6 check with a +2 mid block, deflect 2, and enhance. If you have 10 or less health, this attack gets +1 or -1 damage, min 1. So we have the foundation and Hiei that gives + or -1 speed. Now we have the foundation that gives + or -1 damage. And it has a decent, an average, but a decent block, +2 mid block. It has a 6 check and deflect 2. If this card was a 1 diff, it would be way undercosted. I think this card just by itself, this card is really good. You're gonna in decks that can drop themselves low, or King Ghidorah, you're gonna see this played in full sets alongside unmatched quickness. Space Terror is the 0 diff of the deck. 0 diff 5 check +3 high block, flip. This attack gets +1 damage. So same deal. It's a 0 diff. If you're playing the deck, it's decent. If you are constructed, you probably have a better 0 diff. 2 more to go. Supersonic Flight. This is a 3 diff 5 check with a +4 high block, enhance, destroy. Change this attack zone to high. It gets +2 speed and +3 damage. Response: after this card is removed due to an effect or to pay a cost, draw a card. This is really good, and I think this is better the more I'm looking at this. So I'm imagining this in a King Ghidorah deck. You're attacking with something, you destroy it. The attack becomes a high with +2, +3. You commit King Ghidorah. You remove a card from hand. Let's say you remove a Supersonic Flight. You draw a card. You remove a Supersonic Flight that was just destroyed from your discard pile to play later. Draw a card. Or just another card, and you remove that to play it again, and you draw a card. Supersonic Flight is a very solid card, and I think that you're going to see a decent amount of this in decks that remove cards from the discard pile. I think it's real solid. The last card of the decks is Triple Trouble. Poor Godzilla. 2 difficulty 4 check with a +2 low block. Enhance, your turn flip. Your rival discards a card. They may remove 1 foundation or 1 momentum to cancel this effect. So yeah, if you may potentially kill them, you flip this, they get to make a decision. On the first attack, if they have less foundations, okay, they're probably going to get rid of anything committed, but if they don't have a lot committed, then they have to make a decision. If you don't kill them, they have less stuff available on their next turn. I think this card is pretty decent. I think it's effectively a momentum out, I think, is for these decks is what it comes down to. So, there are the 44 cards in the Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah and Rodan challenge decks. The cards are beautiful. A lot of them are really good. We have the best design flavor in my mind personally. Now, I will admit to being a big fan of the giant robots and the giant monsters. So, but I think the flavor of the character design and the cards is spot on. There's a few quality control issues with some of the cards, but all things considered, I think this is one of the best products they've put out in a very long time. I'm biased, but I'll stand by my decision in that regard. So with that, what do you all think of my takes on the cards? I'm hesitant to do any kind of grading to these at this point in time, because I haven't played with any of them, and my speculation may be simply straight out of the left field, may just be completely wrong. But I think I've got a decent handle on the cards. That being said, I'd love to hear your opinion. Am I right? Am I wrong? Leave it in the comment section below. And be on the lookout for my next video where I'll be discussing my King Ghidorah deck that I'm going to be taking to Let's Talk UVS's online tournament on June 8th. So, hope you enjoy. Take care. Have a great day.